Today, we're going to talk about LTX, something that I know very little about, but fortunately, I'm not doing the presentation. Rick Markley is. Rick, can you tell us a little bit about LTX, what it is and how it works?
Absolutely. It's an AI-driven editing platform for video production and filmmaking that you can utilize images, video, text, and sound.
So does this generate the video, or is it something that's editing the video?
It's generating, as well as you can input an image and then, manipulate that image as well.
So this is a mixture of, this gets into some of the AI stuff. So you can just give it a prompt like you would give to Midjourney, and it's going to create something from scratch. Or you can give it an image and say, and then you can give it a prompt with that image. Is that correct? To tell it what you want the image to do?
There's a couple different ways you can go about doing that. But yes, AI driven, you can also upload a script or just an idea, and it'll generate some things from it. So you can also start from scratch where you have just an empty storyboard, and you can create shot by shot as well.
Can you take a storyboard and can you feed it storyboards and have it actually built? Oh man, that's really interesting. Do you have any examples you can show us?
Yeah, absolutely. I can share my screen here if you want. I'll give you a little walkthrough. All right, I will. Okay. All right, you see everything okay?
Yep.
Okay, so this is kind of the introduction to LTX Studio. So I'll kind of just walk through a little bit here. You can create a story from just writing a prompt. So we can come in and click here and write your prompt here. It'll also just generate some random prompts for you down here that you can just click something and it'll generate something for you.
But it's nice because it also gives you a sense of the kind of phrases that it's expecting to get. So when you see those examples, those are good kind of ways to I see what you could do there.
Yeah. There's another method, which is visualize your concept. So you can write a full script, a few scenes, a story, or you can upload a script.
Got it.
And then there's also from scratch, where just a completely blank product. You give it the name, aspect ratio, style. You can give it a reference image. And then you can start adding characters as well.
Yep.
And then this is where your other stories have been kept. So
these are some of your stories?
Yeah, these are some things that I've just generated. I've tried some where I just put a simple prompt in and to see just come from start to finish, without really doing too much what I can do.
Right.
But then I'll go in and...
in this case, you have like a bunch of different scenes, like 8 different scenes that you potentially want to cut together or more.
Correct.
So many.
Yep. You can do as many as you want. I mean, I don't know if you can do as many as you want. I don't know if there's a limit, but I haven't reached any limits yet. So
these are all, scene 1, this is all different, with scene 1, and this is all different takes on the same, you're playing around with the prompts to get a different thing that you want to use now. These are different clips that you would all use in the same scene.
So these are different shots. Yeah. And then they can be rearranged, in the storyboard too.
Right.
And you can also rearrange the storyboard itself. I think you just grab here or rearrange the scenes, so you can just drag scenes up and down.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'll kind of walk through this interface a little bit too. So you click here to get back to the home. Here's the title of the project. You have your storyboard mode and your shot editor. And I'll click over the shot editor a little bit further down here. You have your project settings, which is kind of the title, the style. I don't have a reference image for this, but you can. You can also choose the intensity of that style reference. The cinematic inspiration, so you can kind of give it just a feel for what you're looking for. And then you would have your cast, so you can actually create your own cast members.
That's really interesting.
So yeah, and there's also things you can do
with that cast. Are you uploading that cast, or did it generate your cast?
It generated these, but you can then come in and click edit. You can give it its name, age, essence, appearance, clothing. You can choose from a bunch of AI voices to pick from, and then if you want, you can just kind of regenerate the face, and then you can also do a face swap. Lightrix, who makes LTX Studio, is very well known for. I can't remember which one it was now. It's one of their face swapping apps.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've had some limited results with this, but this is still in beta. I have a feeling that they're going to really get the face swap nailed down eventually. But yeah, you can generate several characters. You can give them a name. And then when it comes to the scenes, well, I'll finish going over this quick. You can choose your soundtrack. You can also upload your own soundtrack as well. And you can just kind of preview that there.
Oh, yeah. Lightrix is they're famous for Facetune.
Facetune, there it is.
Yeah, Facetune is where they came out of. That's great. I have a very large sign for them that I can't get rid of. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, yeah. Keep going.
Yeah, and then you just kind of you pick your voiceover, the character, who the voiceover narrator is, and that we're going to pick Max, or you can just pick a different character. But
and where are you putting in what they're saying?
Okay, so there's the scene here, which is you have your setting, your lighting, right, weather, sound scene, but then there should be the narration. So voiceover is right here. Yep. So we can, you can type in what you want, or you can have it generate something for you.
Right. And with this, but can you type, like, if you're having dialogue between the two, how is that possible? Probably not yet.
I haven't tried much of dialogue, but I haven't seen an area where you can. But when you're in the scene, you can put your characters in here. You pick which characters are in, but I have not tried dialogue. That's a great question. And
what do these videos look like when they're shot?
Well, I'll show you some here. So, kind of walking through the storyboard area, you have your different shots. Mm-hmm. In here, you can generate your video. You can click the shot editor. You can, type in the prompt for that particular scene, what kind of a camera angle it is, and if there's a sound effect. Now, I don't know if there's voiceover, but there are a way to add sound effects per shot. But in here, we can, since I've already generated a video, it'll show you just a little clip of that, but I'm actually going to pull it open into the shot editor, and this is where you'll see a lot more controls over each shot. So this is one of the shots what it looks like generated.
And is that close to what you had hoped it would look like, or better or worse?
It's kind of it's hit and miss currently. I have to. So when you generate something, you can see the variations I've tried here. It will give you this, like, kind of, when you go to generate the video, it will show you 4 versions to pick from.
Right.
And then you can pick that, and then it'll generate that shot.
And then when you do that, can you build 4 more from that version? So is that where that little square down below, it's like you can spawn more?
Yeah, but it's
variations.
But coming soon. That's not a feature available yet.
Right, because that's really where you find a lot of that in Midjourney, is you go, I like this. You start off with some prompt, and then you just keep going.
Exactly. You can also extend the duration of the clip, and you can upscale it as well from this window. Right. But so down here we can also skip between the different shots. We can kind of jump around and see what that's generated. Mm-hmm. Some things, like, I'll kind of switch over to this side now. So this is where you can kind of really control the shot. This is where you can add your text to do a prompt, or you can upload an image to take an image you upload and then edit that. Here is where the prompt is for this scene. You can also add a negative prompt if you wanted to, if there's something showing up that you want to get rid of. Or
have you tried it much with storyboards? Like, can you put, like, a chicken scratch storyboard in and have it actually produce something that looks good? And will it do it with the right character? So you, like, have a storyboard, and then you put the character, say it's this character is here.
It will automatically generate a lot of that. So if it's, it might be close. If not, then you can just go in and then edit that shot. You can either edit the whole scene or per shot.
Right.
And this is where you can choose your shot type. There's quite a variety of different shots you can pick from. The scene override. This is where you can pick a location, lighting, weather, and then the camera angle or camera motion is where it gets kind of interesting. A basic scene like this is kind of a static shot. It might be a little bit of a
and what's
zoom.
Interesting is, because you have those characters, they're all going to look they're all going to look like the same character as you go from shot to shot to shot to shot to shot, right? Or similar.
That's I think the end how it will be, but sometimes I haven't had that.
That's the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah. I think it's still in beta. So
are they similar?
They're getting it's getting way better. At first, I had some problems, but like I said, I think they're going to get like the face swapping really nailed down, and I think character consistency will come along. But it's been an evolution. It's way better than when I first started testing this like 3 months ago.
Well, and again, for me, I'm less interested in trying to make a movie this way, and more interested in trying to do previs. I came out of previs. That's what I did for Star Wars, and I, to me, the idea that I can do something that looks a little like the characters. But I can get the scenes of like, this is what it'll look like and this is where it's going to go. And even if I'm going to hand that to a real storyboard artist or previs artist and say, this is the feel that I'm going for, or if I'm trying to pitch something and go, well, it would look like this, that kind of thing is interesting. Now we've got questions coming in. We're going to jump into the questions and we'll come back to the demo. So we want to cover a couple questions, just get them, see where we're going here. So let's go to the first question.
All right. First one comes in from Zach Phillips in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He says, with LTX, is it possible to create 2 to 5 minute smooth looping realistic video backdrops with the camera locked down and subtle movement? For example, a factory floor background with for an interview with an occasional forklift and a worker glancing at a tablet.
Not that length of a video. We're currently we can go from 8, 12, 16, 24 frames per second, and our max duration is 12 seconds. And I have noticed that some functionality, and this is probably just because it's in beta, doesn't work past 6 seconds. Like some of the camera moves and things like that, they don't render for me beyond those times, but I think that will eventually, be fixed. But not anything longer than the 12 seconds. However, you can create a finished piece that's minutes in length. But it wouldn't
be as using it as a background for an interview. Probably wouldn't be a use that it's good for yet.
No, not yet.
Next question.
Next one comes in from James Fosseling in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He says, "Can you use named actors to get an archetype?"
Absolutely, and that's where we come over to our cast, so we can.
But you can't you can't type in Harrison Ford.
I haven't tried actual characters.
Right. I think that, but you could upload an image of Harrison Ford, right? Like, so you wouldn't be able to, so as far as using named actors, you could upload an image of a Harrison Ford at whatever age you want him at and do a face swap for it. Maybe it's not perfect, but again, I don't think that, I think we're pretty far away from doing a finished film this way. But I think that but as a previs or a kind of I find also satire is kind of funny. Like you can put a lot of fun things together. So you could upload an image, but I don't think you could use, you can correct me, Rick, but I don't think you can type their name in and get a named actor.
I haven't tried that, but I would assume that they would not allow you to do, famous, actors or politicians or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're correct in that we can face swap them with the face swap feature.
Next question.
Comes in from Ryan Thomason in Houston, Texas. Does anyone know how long the wait list is?
Did it take you much to get into it?
When I signed up in February, and I signed up in March, and I got it in April, beginning of April. So it took about a month. Now I have seen that you can join their Discord, and they'll do like a giveaway. So if you're like in one of their Discord events, they'll give everybody in that event access. So, but I can't guarantee that. I would just sign up and hope that you get in within a month or so.
Absolutely. Next question.
From James Fosseling in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Have you read the end user license agreement carefully, wondering how private your intellectual property is, and is it safe?
I have not. And when I signed up early, I don't even think they had that completely in place yet. So
they were like, we're doing the best.
Does anyone read the end user license?
No, I think that the big thing is I don't think that you should assume that with any of these that you're really going to do something that requires a lot of IP protection. That's just not what you're asking for precision as or accuracy beyond the precision, and so I think that I think that most of us when we're using these, we're not using them for things that we're trying to. There are companies that are doing these in a private cloud, and they're totally controlling it, and they're generating the assets, and They're doing all those things because they want to maintain those. If you're using a public available AI tool, whether it's Midjourney or ChatGPT or LTX, you should not assume that. Not only should you not assume that you have privacy, you should not assume you have ownership. This is just you're playing with this idea. You're playing with these things. But I think the people oftentimes are worried about those things, and the reality is 99% of the people making content just don't care. They don't care about the copyrights. They don't care about their IP. They're just having fun, and they're putting it on TikTok or on YouTube or whatever. And it doesn't have the same. The next generation isn't thinking of it that way because that's not how they generate revenue. They generate revenue by views, not by selling their IP. And so it's a very different business model and a very different way of looking at it. If you look at like TikTok, people are copying each other. They literally put things up hoping people are going to copy them. So it's an entirely different mentality. Let's go back to the
people don't care until the door. There's a knock on the door with the registered letter with the cease and desist.
No, the cease and desist. But I'm saying that they don't care about their own IP. Like they don't care about, and they don't care about other people's IP either. But there's not a lot of cease and desist. There's too many little ones to do. They just block the video. But that's the whole thing, is that it's happening so much that all you can do is send them. The worst you can do to most people is send them a strike, on their YouTube channel. So, but when they're protecting their own IP, I don't know a lot of creators that think really hard on that. Let's go ahead and jump into back into the demo.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to take a look at kind of the camera motion settings here. Like I mentioned, the basic scene is kind of a somewhat static shot. You can actually natural it's a little bit more of a mix, and you can kind of adjust your scale here, and you can also get a random seed. But I'll just generate something, and just to go a little quicker, I'll do a 6-second shot here, and you can see it'll generate the 4 rough, like low res previews to give you an idea of what you'd like to pick. So maybe I found that, a lot of motion can be a little challenging, but it's definitely improving from where it once was.
So it's kind of, it's tearing a little bit or kind of.
Yeah, tearing things kind of more for, shapeshift a little bit. But but compared to like when I first started testing this, it's come a long way. So, let's see how that turned out. Not too bad. Hands are definitely an issue I've seen. Kind of just dissolved away there.
Alienate.
It's his. Yeah.
Well, also the equipment is kind of morphing around as the camera moves.
Yeah,
I've noticed that a lot of these AI generators do better with just a camera move, handling small parallax shifts. That's mainly what their forte is. But having the actor turn his head or look back or look at somebody else is always problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Show us a couple other shots, like a couple other things that you built there.
Sure. Let's see here. Let's grab some random things.
Yeah, so these kind of really slow moving shots tend to probably work pretty well.
Yeah, I definitely tried a lot of the more slow moving stuff for some of these. And I go back and I'll experiment with some of the camera angles. I'm pretty excited about some of the camera angle capabilities. So.
And the other thing to remember is, like, with these big, wide, slow-moving shots, these are great establishing shots. You might be shooting your own independent film. Building that matte painting would be significant. Like, that's someone who's really, really good at what they do, and it may not be exactly what you would imagine, but having a matte painter, build that for you would take weeks, right, of their time, and be very expensive. And you can have a couple of different establishing shots to tell people, oh, you're here. And then the rest of your shots are interior anyway.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely coming a long way. Eventually it will be a tool. I feel you can just generate content from nothing, but I feel currently I would use this as, generating storyboards to then present to an actual art department to,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really where this really goes. Now, I think that you could eventually, at some point, maybe, I need another insert shot, or I need, again, a big establishing shot or something. This could work well soon.
Yeah. And on that Rick, on that establishing shot that you showed us earlier, I noticed they had a fairly large camera move, but the individual people, the little people, were not animated at all. So it was like they were moving in on a still or moving in on a 3D image, but there was no animation within the frame.
I know they were moving around in that first one.
They were? Okay, I didn't see them.
Maybe we'll see.
Let's see if there might be some movement. And I do try to stay away from some of those high movement shots just because of like the issue I showed you where some things are shearing. But like I said, I think, it's going to keep evolving. And I think eventually, these will be.
It's funny. You can see why people are scared in filmmaking when you see these. I mean, the images are, pretty well lit and look good. I still think that we're probably a very long way away before we actually start generating content that is really, really used for things. And, I think that we've heard some hyperbolic, Hollywood is, this is all going to be AI. I think that's going to take a long time. It's hard to get a human to do it well, let alone a machine to do it well. So I think that, there's the level that we expect things to be at today is very high. And so I think it would be hard. But what I have seen are some satire that has been hilarious put together. And again, as pre-visualization or mock, what I've seen is mock trailers. I don't know if you've seen any of those where they kind of, they put all that stuff together. I think it's a lot of fun. But I do think that I think people oftentimes oversell the, how this looks. I think it's going to do well. And it obviously produces pretty pictures, but I think that's the challenge. What do you got here?
So I was going to demonstrate kind of some of these camera angles. So when you switch over to custom mode, and like I said, some things seem to be working above certain durations currently. So I'll just stick with this for now. But you have quite a few different interesting moves you can do, and I'll show you how that works. So this is like the camera motion editor, and it generates a depth map. And so you start here, and then you kind of pick the angle you want. So you can kind of shift this around.
That's interesting.
And then you can kind of zoom in on your shot, and you can also then you can right click and then drag the center around, and then we'll come over to the end, and I'll kind of do the opposite maybe and zoom in a little bit, center that, and then you can kind of preview the motion roughly in here.
Huh. Interesting.
And then I'll try to generate that shot quick.
And I find it interesting that it does have some 3D information. It's not, most of the time you think of it as all being flat, but.
Yeah. It looks like it's using like a series of planes stacked up to generate its 3D. And then the white area seems to be like what it's going to fill with generative fill as it exposes part of the occluded background. Yeah.
Yeah, so it generates a depth map. So if you're used to anything that's generating a depth map to give it 3D,
it's not actual geometry. It's
it's using like a grayscale map,
right,
with the darker color representing different distances from the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a little while, so hopefully this doesn't take too long.
It's all good. And And so each one of these, you're saving each attempt at this shot. So you can say, well, this is my select.
Yes. So you can kind of go back.
Oh, yeah, I see select there at the top. That's how you're saying this is it. Yeah.
You can also download each individual clip too, which is nice.
Right.
So one of the things I've noticed is I like a couple different versions of something, and I don't want to lose it, so I'll just download it, because once you select it, it's no longer in the shot editor or the storyboard. So I'll just download it if I like it. Let's see how this turned out. So it definitely works a lot better with, equipment and things like that. The people I found are still a little iffy, but, maybe things have changed even recently. So.
And again, this is especially as a previs, you could have it. I could see how you'd be able to have interior shots that you're going to do something else with, but this is an establishing shot of a hangar, and you can show it to an art department and go, well, I mean, this is kind of what I'm thinking about. Like this is the move.
Kind of like a photoreal storyboard. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then you can kind of come over and say, no, I want a cockpit shot, and I want a close up of the hand, doing something. And that's kind of what I did with some of these.
And are all the styles photorealistic, or can you do kind of cartoon or
You can definitely pick from different styles. So
like drawing styles?
Let me go back and I'll just we'll just try one from scratch.
One of the interesting things about storyboards is sometimes you don't want to add too much detail because then it drives people's imagination towards that, or limits their imagination towards what you did. And so a lot of times storyboards are not as detailed as they could be because the idea is to leave that to someone's going to decide what that looks like, and we're not going to decide that right now. So I'm curious as to whether this can be something that's more drawn or looks more drawn.
Absolutely. And something that they've added within the past couple of months was the ability to duplicate a project. So I wanted to be able to do something, but I want to see this in a different style. So I can duplicate it and then come back, and then I can choose the cinematic style. So this is where you would choose the style. So this is what it automatically generated from that prompt I selected.
Yep.
Gives you the title, aspect ratios. This is one thing I wish I could duplicate and then change. I haven't been able to say, I like this project. Now I want to make a 9:16 version of it. I haven't seen that feature yet, but they do take feedback. So, if you become a beta tester, you can go on Discord and give them some feedback.
So you have to set your aspect ratio at the very first thing, and then it generates everything in that aspect ratio.
Yep.
It probably has to do with the seed. Like the seed isn't like, it wouldn't know what to do with. Yeah. Probably why they don't let you change it. So you have these video styles. Okay, there we go.
So yes, there's quite a few. So I'll just kind of slowly skip through them. And I've experimented with a few of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there are quite a few. And then you can also upload an image and give it a reference as well. Yeah. And then when you do that,
so
you
if
can
you go
upload
up,
the image.
if you scroll up, go when it says cinematic, try comic book.
Sure. All right. And so it should regenerate these characters while we do that. And hopefully at least give you an idea.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. I'll maybe try another one here just to, like what we'll say, craft clay. I haven't tried some of these, so it'll be interesting to see.
Oh my gosh.
Gumby and Pokey go to space.
It's cheese, Gromit.
Reminds me of the
Weasley that's really interesting.
Yeah. I'll pick another one, then maybe we'll just what do we have? We'll try maybe cyberpunk. Yeah, I think this might be a little bit more fitting for what we're doing here.
I wonder if it's easier to animate a clay type figure than a photoreal figure.
I actually think
move around.
Let's go back to I want to do it with the clay. I just want to see what the different scenes look like with clay.
Sure.
It's very fascinating. Let's do some scenes like that.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start. I'll just before I do that, I'll just show you the characters again, so you can kind of go in and name them, choose their clothing, their style, and then once they generate the characters, it'll a little error here, so I'll be able to generate background music.
Okay,
but usually it'll fix some of this stuff after a while.
Yeah.
But it still can't do sync dialogue.
So this is taking the old scene. This is taking the old scene that you had before and replacing it. It's regenerating all of these with clay.
Well, I didn't take the old one. I started from scratch for this one.
So where do the scenes come from?
It'll generate all that as well.
Oh, it's just making up scenes.
Yep. It'll make up the scenes. It'll make up the dialogue. It'll, choose their locations automatically.
So it's just kind of just creating something for you to use, and not all of it's clay. Some of it's clay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Some things don't. The style isn't always consistent, but it's getting better.
Well, you say when it makes up dialogue, does it actually animate their lips to read the dialogue and their character voice that you've chosen for them?
It's just a voiceover. I don't think it does dialogue yet.
Correct. Yeah. Just a voiceover currently.
It's probably why they don't do dialogue, is they have to animate those lips.
Yeah. So, I mean, like for this one, we want to try something else. I'll just maybe try to rerun that prompt just to see if it gives us more of a clay style.
So just kind of made a story. It's funny. This third one over. Wait, go to the third one over. Let's look at that one for a second.
Okay. So it's a static shot. So I just kind of want to point something out too. Everything's static at first. So when let's say we want to preview this, there's a preview function here. We open this up. It'll automatically tell me there's only 16 shots, static shots. If you want to generate them all, you can. So you can click that and it'll automatically go through and generate a shot for it.
Let's just go to let's go to that third shot.
Sure. So I'll pull this open in the shot editor.
And then you can regenerate that. You can generate that one as a video. Is that something you can do? You do here?
Yep. So I'll just kind of stick with the basics for, and I'll do 3 seconds, 8 frames a second. And, it has a medium shot.
And where does it say 8 frames a second?
So it's a drop down.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's actually 16 frames. Sorry.
Okay, got it. So
these are the 4 it generated. And there's a bit of movement. But like I said, a lot of times with the fast stuff, you can see that's definitely going to be right here. That's something's appearing. So
she's possessed by some spirit behind here. Oh my God.
So I'll go ahead and generate this one from those 4 because I think that looks like it will turn out the best for me.
And does it refine those movements that it shows you in the temp windows there? And does it eliminate some of the blurry morphing?
It might refine it, but not always in the way you hope. It might look better, but the hand might still shift or something. But like I said, it's all progressing so much compared to when I first started this 3 months ago. So it's come a long way. And yeah, you can see their hands are usually the thing that are the biggest issue for me. But I think that's kind of been an AI issue for a while anyway.
Yeah, it turns out that they're difficult and they overlap and they do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah. So a lot of times if I do have the issue, I'll just come in, like I'll do the dolly and shot or something like that. Let me see if I can find. Or maybe I'll just edit the orbit. Then we can just kind of zoom in a little bit, crop their hands out. That kind of thing. Oh, I don't know what happened there, but knocked me out. See if this helps a little bit.
And can you have them not necessarily move? Or could you have it do a move with them not moving? Like
I think you might have to put something into the prompt, like the exchange of glances. I think we can,
because like as a storyboard, it might be easier to have them not do. Like I'm trying to give you the camera move, but I'm not interested in them moving, kind of thing. Right.
Yeah, I think that would have to be in the prompt, and it's really cool. I love. It has a lot of features, but it's still not doing exactly what I want.
It's got a floating hand. But again, these are all things to remember. These are all things that we made fun of with Midjourney, and Midjourney figured it out. Right. You very rarely have hand hallucinations anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's what amazed me with Sora, because the accuracy on Sora would be very few artifacts, and everything is really very realistic. But nobody else seems to have captured the ability to do that. In all of these video animation stuff like Runway and a lot of the others that do the same thing as this one does.
Right.
For some reason, Sora has the magic juice and nobody else has figured that out yet.
Right.
I think they're all progressing. Even I know Runway just released Gen 3 and, that's come a long way too. And and I feel like once
we're all benefiting from a incredible rush for the door, because not all of them are going to survive. So they're all just spending money like a banana republic and trying to figure out how to get into the front.
Yeah. But LTX, Lightrix really seems to be on top of it.
It's a big company. Like Facetune has been very successful, and they've got a couple other apps, and so they've been doing this. This isn't like a little startup. This is I think they're an Israeli company.
Yes,
and they have so they've been doing some kind of modeling of doing this for quite some time, so years. As far as that goes, yeah.
I definitely have a feeling they're going to get this, all the features nailed down, and they just keep improving and improving. I'm pretty happy with the progress they've done so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, is there a way to erase that flying fist that's in there so that it doesn't, when you tell it to animate the video, it doesn't keep that as a consistent object?
So you can do things like generative fill, remove objects, camera angles, and then eventually you can be able to place a character in the scene too.
Right.
So let's go back to that shot. Let's see if I haven't tried this, so let's.
Can you delete the flying fist of fury there?
Right. So there we go. And done.
Ah, good. Now then, if you told it to animate the video of that, hopefully the fist won't come back.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's take a look here. I'll do. It seems the fist is gone.
Yep.
Again, some of these hard movement or like really harsh movements. I mean, you can get movements out of them, but I think you're going to be kind of refining it until you're happy with the hands. So I might just try one that's a little less animated.
A little less active, yeah.
And like I mentioned as well, you can add sound effects per shot. Each scene has the narration, and I think there might be music, but then each shot will have a sound effect you can add. Let's see how that turned out. Yeah. Still some hand morphing, but
it just still does a lot better than the quick render that it does in the task.
Yeah.
It refines it quite a bit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And can the sound effects you add be synchronized with, like, they're setting down a glass so you hear a clunk at the set down, or is it just a bed of atmospheric type sounds?
No,
but
you
have to create your own Foley.
But the cool part, now I won't go too much into it yet, but the export, like I said, when you go to export, it'll tell you have 15 static shots. You probably want to generate those. Otherwise, everything will just come through as a static shot. But you can output a pitch deck, which is a PDF, and it'll have your storyboard layout in each shot and all that. And then there's the editing package, which gives you all the video files, the sound files, and XML separate in folders, nicely organized. And then there's just a video that just takes what you've done and just outputs a clip from it. But, the package is great because each scene, each shot, and everything is broken down. The voiceover and sound effects are a separate audio file that you can then take into whatever editing platform you like and fine tune it.
That's great, Rick. It's really interesting. And, and again, I think that it's important for all of us to keep tracking this, to keep figuring out, like to understand what it's, I think that there's a little bit of a temptation to go, oh, AI is going to take over everything. And people just don't want to talk about it or look at it. But I think that we want to look at where it can be used effectively. And again, for the most part, especially with larger companies that would have hired an art department, this is not a replacement for that. And none of them talk about it being a replacement anytime soon. But a director or a CG supervisor or someone sitting on a plane coming up, just dueling with ideas and then handing them to the art department of like, I'm thinking about this, but I think that people also, there's on one side, there's people like, this is going to take over. We shouldn't allow it to happen. We're all going to lose our jobs. And on the other side, they're like, this is going to take over and I'm going to not need anybody. And neither of those are probably true. So, this is an interesting place. So far, I found for most of this is a great place to do brainstorming, of just thinking about things. I've done it for logos, for scenes, for ideas of something. Those are the kind of things that I found really useful. I don't, I haven't used it for very much final work anywhere. So I think that we're not there yet. But anyway, it's really cool. And so you said that you can go to LTX Studio. Do you have anything else you want to show before we finish?
Not necessarily. I mean, I could go through some more scenes if anybody wants to see some more things.
I think we get the idea. So, I mean, I think that but I think that the key is if you're interested in this, get up there and get on the wait list. Does it cost anything right now, or is it still in beta?
So there is a beta. The part of the beta ended as far as unlimited time. So you can kind of, I'm not sure what my plan is.
So you do have to, in the beta, you still have to pay if you want to have more time.
So yeah, there is a community plan, which is 3 computing hours a month. And then this is something that's available to the beta testers. So this is only like $5 a month. And then you get, I can't remember what, 3 hours a month or something like that. Otherwise, you can run out pretty quickly.
And what's the pricing? It says pricing up above.
This is only 5. Oh yeah,
no, I'm saying,
for the rest of it, yeah. So yeah, you get a free one, but it's only 1 computing hour.
I don't know what a computing hour means, but
Well, when you generate, so let's say you generate a shot, it's 3 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, that kind of thing. So each of those takes up time from your computing hour.
right.
So if you generate a 3-second shot, that's 3 seconds out of your remaining time.
Cool.
Yeah. And I generate a lot because, sometimes you don't get what you want. So I'll redo a shot over and over.
The $5 so far, though, the $5 a month has been enough for you?
Yeah. I mean, when I was using this really heavily, I could have easily went over that. But I think now that I've, the features are coming a little bit along. And also, at first, when the beta period was going on, you would log in one day and all of your renders are gone. So you have to re-render everything.
That's why they didn't make you pay for it at the beginning.
Right.
They're like,
but now the renders are there when I come back, so I don't have to regenerate everything every time I like to upload a clip or something.
We got one more question here.
Yeah.
Yep. Last question comes in from James Fosseling in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He says, could you show an example of the output of metadata? I think you said XML.
Oh, I think this is exported out to Premiere or Resolve.
Yeah, I don't have an example on this machine, unfortunately. I'd have to output something.
Does that take time?
It does, but
just an XML of the cut list. In other words, the cutting between and still images. Yeah,
we can try. Oh, this one says that.
Yeah, there's editing package.
Yeah, I'll just quick generate those 16 static shots. I think this may have been before the renders would disappear each night, so I have to re-render these.
And does that take up your compute time when you have to re-render them?
Yeah, it does.
And it disappears every night?
It hasn't lately. I think this might have been a project that I hadn't re-rendered each scene beforehand, so
hopefully
this doesn't take too long.
The download is XML, or is it
so here we go.
Video file?
It says it's downloading now. I'll go ahead and open it up so we can see it here. And let's see. Gave me an error, but we'll see how that turned out.
So it's downloading a zip file, so it has something together into that.
I just have it off the screen here, so I'll bring that over here. So this is what the folder looks like. This is, I don't know how I can open this on here, but I think that's the
what type of
XML file.
Open a text
XML file, yes, because it's in the browser.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can just load that up into your, like you said, Final Cut or whatever.
Probably not Final Cut, but probably, Premiere and Resolve. Yeah.
Yep. So then it takes like the music, separates that, and then each scene, each shot. So here's the narration for that scene, and then each shot its own folder.
So it includes all the assets within the folder of the zip file, and then the XML file tells it where to pull the assets in to generate a rendered out.
Yeah. If you want, I can quickly, this might not look or sound great, but I can download the video clip too.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
And we're already, it's funny, I don't know whether they're using this or not, but you are starting to see YouTube like trailers. People seem to be like to put their fantasy trailer up of something that would happen, like some possible mismatch of things, or mashup of things, of ideas. And you have to be careful now with trailers because it says a trailer, and the way it's listed, you're like, is that a real trailer? Or is that a made up trailer? That's becoming the problem on YouTube, is you don't know what's an actual trailer versus what's and I watch a lot of trailers. And so the funny thing is that there's the big trailers, then there's the indie trailers, then there's the AI trailers. And these are all the things that kind of show up, and it's hard to figure out which one is which at this point. And some of the indie trailers are fine, but some of them are really indie. Like you're like, ooh,
I know Lightrix has recently been posting some videos that people have been creating with LTX Studio. They said that was like one of their first commercials that they generated with LTX. So
was that the one Was that did they use LTX for the Lego one? Was it no, it wasn't Lego. It was somebody did one. And it did not go over well. People were like, this is very dystopian. But
there's lots of if Wes Anderson had directed The Last Supper, etc.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson had done
if
this.
Wes Anderson had done this is what it would look like. Yeah, there's Wes Anderson is a popular one because it's so distinctive. So it looks like it finished it.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and open it here. I have not used the media player on this machine, so hopefully it'll let me. I'll try to rewind it here. So let me start that over.
Well, it gives us a chance to hear the dialogue.
The galaxy gauntlet is more than just a race. It's our chance to break free. My name's Max, and with my co-pilot Nova, we're taking on the ultimate challenge. The Star Blazer, our racing machine, is our ticket to victory and freedom. But the competition is fierce.
You can see how, as a pitch deck or as an idea. And again, the danger really is the reason I'd probably end up doing a lot of these things in a more drawn look is because it can easily kind of poison your brain as to what it should look like if it's too detailed, But as a concept art thing, it's art idea. I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and you can use your own images too per each shot. So
right,
if you wanted to generate something or shoot something separately, you can just use your own. And I mean, as a storyboarding tool, it has some potential for that with me as well. I mean, it's just a quick way to just go in and.
So if you're doing a commercial, and typical on a commercial, you'll cast it first, and so you'll have still images of your cast. You could upload those and say generate, storyboards or stills for each scene with maybe indications of camera movement, like as in a normal storyboard, you'll show that, okay, this is a zoom in, and you'll have little arrows and things indicating that. But you could actually do a zoom in then on your animated storyboards with the cast members that you've already cast, if you can upload their images.
Yeah, I've noticed human characters they're definitely easier to work with, but I've tried some. Let's see if I can find one here. Maybe this one. No. As a matter of fact, that will. It does. I will warn. I should have probably warned ahead of time that it can do some not suitable for work things unexpectedly.
Right.
But these, it really took some work to get these characters, like a bear, like a hybrid, and like an owl and things like that. So at first, it was like everything I tried was coming out as a human, but after a couple different updates and things, like actual non-human characters seem to be a lot more.
Right.
They seem to work a little bit better.
Four-winged owl. That was strange.
Yeah.
4 wings.
And even though I'm trying to keep this bear consistent, there is some consistency. Like you can see like this wolf here looks a little different than the wolf here,
Right.
It's like this is.
But from a concept art, it works. From a film position, it doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah, at least not at this point.
Yeah, Rick, thank you so much for your time. That was fun. I was very interested to see what it is, and it's much easier for me to have you explain it to us than for me to sit there and noodle with it and try to figure it all out. It gives us a huge head start. So thank you. We had talked about it for a couple of weeks, and I'm really glad you were able to come on and show it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thanks to our panelists in the first hour and the second hour being part of the conversation. And we can't do this without you. We also can't do it without the producers. Your questions are really important. Like this show doesn't exist without your questions, and you did a great job at questions, kind of keeping everything rolling forward. So we really appreciate everybody. If you want to ask those questions, always come in and get in early, ask them early, ask them the QR, ask them Makana. But we really appreciate all that you do there. And thank you to the team who's editing the show, managing the show, figuring out what's going to be on it, programming and building and developing the hardware and software that's necessary to make this show work. We appreciate all of your contribution. Today, the Tlaloc Traversal, if we had wandered around and asked these questions in person, we would have traveled 63,000 miles. That's 101,000 kilometers, and that is 497 million bananas for scale. All right, let's go ahead and jump into After Hours. That was fun.
Light years, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Thanks, Rick.
I think I signed up for it. I don't know if I've gotten it a while ago. I don't know if I've gotten it or not. I'll have to go check. But it's cool.
I received a second invite recently.
What?
I received a second invite recently. Even though I'm already in the beta, they invited me again.
You're doing so much great work. Do it again.
I think they've walled off the really realistic video generators because they're afraid of the backlash that they're going to get from the industry.
I think they're just having a hard time with it. I think they'll do realistic as soon as they can.
Well, they can. We've seen the demos, you know.
But
they're perfect lip sync, perfect actors moving 2-minute long rendered things with perfect tracking. Well, close to perfect. There may be one slight anomaly.